Welcome back, folks, to another spamtastic episode. Actually, well, I should have probably already said that in the previous segment, but never mind. I always like to welcome back my listeners because it's just a pleasure having you stick around for more than 5 minutes. However, I hope you enjoyed that. That was Bridging Visa B. That is the latest single off Hachiku's debut album, I'll Probably Be Asleep. Now, for those of you who remember that name and go, that's familiar, Daniel, you're absolutely right. It's because that was a song that we previously played on that album, well, on one of our previous episodes a little while back. And I thought, damn, that was a good song. And we had to keep an eye out for when Hachiku was releasing their album to get him in for a chat. And you know what? You think about these things early, you get results. She's just released her album yesterday as of recording, and I'm so happy to have Annika, the main, I guess you can call it, front woman of Hachiku. I don't know, what's your preference? Well, firstly, welcome to the show, Annika. What do you?
Thanks for having me.
What do you like to call yourself? Do you call it, when people go, oh, so what do you do in the band, Annika? What do you normally respond with?
I guess you could call me I write the songs and produce or record them. And when we play live, I sing and play guitar when it's a full band mode. And when it's me in solo mode, I sing, play guitar, and have like a sampler, keyboard, and a loop station. And do like a one-man show type thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you go for a bit of the loop thing. Nice. That was a proper, oh shit, I'm 300 words down on my essay word limit. I need to start beefing up these sentences. You're like, and I do this, and I do that, just to make the list even more impressive. And like, okay, there's an extra 100 words I just made up out of the spot. That'll get me to the word limit.
Exactly. Just pimp it up a bit.
Pimp it up. Pimp my band.
Yeah, pimp my car. Do you remember that show?
Okay, if you were going to, let's divulge here for a second. If you were going to pimp one inanimate object, it can be anything in your house, what would it be?
Ooh, I think I would pimp my chair to become a massage chair. That would be great.
That's actually got you know what? I like it. It's a very practical answer. It has a purpose. It's, I think people would be very impressed if you just walked in and you just had a massage chair in your lounge room. That's not something you normally see.
Yeah, and in particular, I've got this one really nice chair here that I actually found on Hard Rubbish, and it's just red velvet, quite sleek, Danish looking. But if that was a massage chair when you don't expect it and you just sit down in this nice old chair and suddenly it starts massaging you, that would be quite incredible.
What is it about Danish furniture? And people always go, oh yeah, no, the Danes make the best furniture. Where does that come from? I don't get it.
I don't know. I think it's just, for me, from experience, having looked at some furniture and you see, oh, that one's from Denmark. I see. Yeah. It's like minimalist, sleek, just stylish rather than. But then it's weird because then you have Swedish furniture and that's straight away IKEA, isn't it? Like how just like one country separation has such different attributes.
Yeah, it's just, and also the monopolization of it. Like, they're probably like other furniture makers in Sweden. They're like, fuck, we hate IKEA. Like, why did they have to monopolize the market? Now they think that we make shit fall apart easy, like costs fuck all furniture. They're making their fancy, ornate, sculptured chairs.
Yeah, like, I shouldn't put them all in one box.
No, exactly. That's exactly right. And I mean, I suppose that's the same with your music. You wouldn't like to be boxed into one corner, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I feel like it has yet to happen. Like when I read not interviews, but reviews or something, sometimes there's the most random comparisons where I'm like, okay, I have not heard that one before, which I quite enjoy. It's like I feel like it might be a bit boring if you keep being compared to the same people. But yeah, I wonder what it is. Maybe not that we're super unique and the newest thing on the scene, but yeah, I don't know. I quite like not having like a very like it's a bit hard for things like Spotify because they have their playlists that are very like indie chill.
If
indie
you
rock.
like this artist, you may also like, haha.
Yeah, and I find with us at this stage, either the algorithm struggles or the editors or just something struggles where I feel like we're like somewhere in between lots of those things. But I don't mind it. It's quite fun.
Yeah, yeah. Do you have like a bingo card at home? It's like, guess who I'm going to be compared to next? To be like, and just like have different answers. So there, Joni Mitchell, oh, that one hasn't been ticked off yet. Like Joan Jett, oh, that one, no. Oh, Quaddy Barnett, oh, well, same record company, close enough.
Yeah, I should start making a list of just my favorites.
Yes. But first, I should mention as well, of course, congratulations for the album finally coming out. This is quite a lengthy, process to get to this point in time, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm glad it has happened. Thank you. And
it's got quite a lot of songs that are varied in terms of their themes as well. And it's taken you quite a while to get the songs together. So I was hoping maybe you could chat about, I guess, where the first songs started to come into play, whereabouts you were located at the time, and I guess how that's changed in the preceding months.
Yeah, I actually started most of the demos for this album. It was exactly almost 4 years ago, and I was on a working holiday visa in Australia, and to renew it for a second year, you had to do farm work. So I was up in the middle of Queensland, in Charleville, doing this as part of my farm work. And
what kind of farm work? Because I know it varies for location. Like in Mildura, immediately they're going to be picking fruit. But Charleville?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I should be saying it out loud because technically I was actually nannying, which isn't what you're meant to be doing for the farm work.
Okay. We won't tell anyone. So I haven't got the ASIO guy looking over my corner now. It's okay.
Yeah, but there were a fair few sheep and stuff. So I guess it was the interpretation of what my employees were doing with me, which was, can you please actually look after our children? And yeah, so I was looking after these two boys during the day, quite like 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. kind of thing, which I think it's quite typical for that industry for people to get a little bit exploited, I think, like in terms of what they know that you're desperate and that you need that tick on your application. I've completed my farm work, so you're just like, okay, I'll do whatever you tell me for whichever little money you tell me.
Yeah, and have you noticed now with the pandemic that suddenly there's now a shortage of workers?
Yeah, definitely. And I think also just having spoken to a few other people that have done it, just you realize how that whole industry is it just plays with people's anxieties a little, and where all that visa application stuff gets kind of brutal of you're in such a desperate position of if you don't do certain things, you just get kicked out of the country or just not have your visa extended. That, yeah, people just, you can kind of do whatever you want with them.
And that's a lot of what that song's about, isn't it? It's about that anxiety surrounding and the uncertainty surrounding your position when you're in limbo. Yeah,
that bridging visa, exactly. It's like, because I ended up, after the farm work, second year working holiday visa, ended up going for partner visa, and yeah, just getting a real insight into how that rolls out, the really private investigative questions they ask you about your relationship and private messages you sent each other, and alongside that the frustration of, for me, it was hard work and a lot of effort to put in, but relatively straightforward, that we kind of knew from the start that we would be able to succeed. In comparison to some of my friends, or even if you think about Australia's like refugee policies, how if it's this frustrating for me as a very privileged white person from like a Western country to maneuver that process, I just can't imagine how hard it would be. You feel like one of my friends from India who tried to go for the same visa, and just the hurdles in his way where he got he didn't get his visa in the end, and try to find jobs and try to just like how the system's set up for you to fail if you don't tick the right boxes for them, and how just watching it and being a part of it and not being able to really, like, in hindsight now I'm glad that I can kind of talk about it and be like, it's a very fucked up process. But while you're in it, you're like, I just have to go and do whatever they tell me, because otherwise I won't be able to stay here.
Have you been involved, speaking of the refugee issues with refugees and that sort of thing, have you been involved in any of the charity work that's surrounding, or the organisations that help those kind of people?
Yeah, like, I mean, I try my best. Everyone could do better. I could definitely do better. I very much, there's like this organization called RISE, which is like the first one, like, that is run by ex-detainees and refugees. And we always, like, we did a few during the bushfires, for example, try to do fundraisers for that, or for them. And it's always like that tricky thing of you want to be an ally to the cause without going in and being like, I have all your answers. And then there's this hotel here in Preston on Bell Street where it's like completely, I don't know if you heard about it, how the refugees aren't allowed to leave the hotel. It's like a city prison kind of thing. And there's actually a protest happening today at 2 p.m. I mean, this won't be played today, so can't, like, there's regularly protests happening in front of that to just help and support the cause. But I guess signing petitions, just trying to raise awareness with the general public where things can so easily go unnoticed is always a thing that I try and do. But you're kind of just a small piece of the puzzle, but hoping that if everyone comes together, maybe in the long run, the politics of the country could shift a certain way.
So now that you're in Melbourne, so how long have you been in Melbourne now?
4 years and a few months, but on and off with touring and going places. Oh
yeah, obviously. Yeah, we don't count that. That doesn't count. It's all about broad strokes here, Annika. It's broad strokes. Yeah. It's like the bits where you get the paint, the broad strokes at the beginning of the painting. Then we can like hone into the details.
Exactly. 4 years, 4 months.
Yeah. Oh wow, you are counting. That's very good. You might have. So I'm guessing you started writing songs, as we mentioned before. You started writing the songs elsewhere, but was it really only in Melbourne that you decided to put the songs together as a single record?
Yeah, like Melbourne, like I would like to call this album like a patchwork type thing of very different locations and places, and wherever I could sit down, I would work on it. Melbourne definitely, like my bedroom, or not so much bedrooms, actually, a converted lounge room studio, is where I probably would do the most work, actually, like sitting down, having space to set up all my keyboards and work on it. But I also went to Germany a little bit at my parents' house to work from there and finish a majority of the songs. So I'd say halfway between Melbourne, maybe the Milkway House a bit, Friends Studios, that's where I was allowed to hang out for like a day to record vocals, and my bandmate's house where we recorded some bass. So different locations in Melbourne, some in Germany, definitely. Yeah.
Whereabouts are your parents in Germany?
It's called Cologne. So I guess it's like, I think the fourth biggest city in Germany. And I'm just outside of Cologne in a village called Dunsweiler. Yeah.
Is it a very hilly area or is it quite flat?
It's quite it depends what you compare it to. It's nothing compared to like the mountain ranges in Italy or something. Yeah. But maybe an hour away from our house, there's like, I think, one of the only volcanic areas of Germany. It's called the Eifel. My grandfather grew up there. And there's lots of like wine that, like vineyards and a fair few hills. Like you can go mountain biking and it could be quite exciting.
I was going to say, it actually sounds
like alpine.
Yeah, it sounds quite pretty actually.
Yeah, like that's the thing you only realize. Like growing up, I was like, this is the most boring part of the world I could imagine. And only when you leave it out of thinking like the rest of the world will be so much better, you get that sort of connection and feeling. Like you get a bit of distance. And now when we go back for summer and my parents take us to like that volcanic region, for example, I'm like, this is actually very pretty, like rolling hills and green rivers with greenery around it, and it's quite nice.
Do you find that you're still listening to a lot of German artists when you're just listening to your music, or are you tending to find that the majority of the stuff you listen to is Australian artists or elsewhere, or is it a bit of a mix?
My friend in Germany gets quite angry with me. He's like, you're so ignorant towards German music. Like, why don't you? Because I personally probably am quite like have that stereotype in my head of I don't want to listen to German music, which is really bad. Like, I'm sure there's really great German music out there. And he regularly sends me lists of German bands to like listen to. Definitely growing up, I had a few favorite German bands that also sing in German, which I don't think anyone would know outside of Germany, so I won't even bother listing them. But these days I would say very predominantly anyone English speaking, or like your typical, the like indie music scene that makes the rounds. But I also love just exploring very different areas of music, almost from like a more educational perspective of the history of music and how things have come to where they are these days, where it's not so much for personal enjoyment, but more to broaden my horizon a bit of what else is out there, that like actively searching for stuff.
Yeah. We're gonna go to a break real soon, actually. And we're gonna play one of the other songs off the album, which I believe was it a previous single?
Which one is this one? Or which
we're gonna be playing, and I love how you're just giving me a mouthful of words here to say, Annika. It's a portrait of an artist as a young woman is going to be the next song we play.
Yeah, that one wasn't a single, but I do like that one.
Yes, so hopefully you can tell us a bit about this one, because this one has a bit of a very specific story about it.
It's a reference, the title, to a James Joyce book, where I just changed the man to woman as a young woman instead of young man. And I think that one, the story was, it was like after a 3 a.m. like a verbal argument I had with someone in a bar in Melbourne around climate change, and him saying it wasn't real, and I was like brainwashed by left-wing propaganda, and science equally was funded to fuel left-wing politics. And just the frustration that came with that, and trying to convince him of the opposite, that he was probably brainwashed by something, but in the end we both just decided that we were brainwashed by whichever part brainwashed us. And I guess just realizing how in current day and age that is a very common thing, that rather than mutually respecting each other's opinions and seeing value and truth in them, it's like truth doesn't exist anymore, and any sort of argument goes to nowhere. So I wrote that song about that sort of frustration, but also in a way hoping that he gave me his email address to send them some proof that climate change was real, and I did, hoping that it would convince him, but it bounced back and his email address didn't exist. And I was like, okay. That's what I mean. It's like You can't
Wow.
even, there's no ground for
Prank.
conversations when
Guess
you
those
don't.
conversations are just, they can be the wackiest ones, because you can either try and argue with it, or at that point you're like, okay, let's see how much of a hole you can dig here. And it's like, okay, telling me more. Sits back. I've had a friend who's done this in there. No, I wasn't out there at the time because I don't smoke, but they were having this sort of conversation. This guy was telling wacky conspiracy theories at this pub. And it was like about, again, like same time, 2, 3 a.m. And my friend's just sitting back there smoking his ciggy. He's going, yep, tell me more.
Yeah,
just like really trying to make this guy dig a hole.
Yeah, and I feel like, as you said, conspiracy theories. I had this conversation with my mother the other day because she has a very close friend who suddenly, with the whole COVID thing, it had never happened before. She was just like any other friend, like on your level of like political views and anything.
Yeah.
And suddenly with COVID, she started getting into the whole Bill Gates conspiracy that Bill Gates started Corona.
Yeah.
And my mother was just so lost. Like, she's like, I love this friend and I don't know what to do because she keeps sending me all these articles and wants me to go to like protest. And I try to comfort her a bit and try to look into like the science behind conspiracy, or like how you deal with someone, like from a psychological perspective. And unfortunately, there's all this research out there that once someone is in that world of conspiracy, it's really hard to get them back again. Like, it's really, in a way, heartbreaking because all you want to do is send them articles or like some evidence that what they are believing isn't real. And in that conspiracy theory, there is already something that has like triggered you that any anti-conspiracy is part of the conspiracy, if that makes sense. Like,
it's just like, if you're not with us, you're against us.
Yeah. So with that guy in the bar, equally, I was like, I wanted to have the conversation because how else are you going to keep staying connected with different parts of an argument? But at the same time, I realized how it was getting nowhere. And I was almost like, he was like, oh, climate change doesn't affect me because in my daily life, like, what? I'm just living my life. Nothing has changed. And then this was pre-bushfires, and 2 months later, the bushfires hit. And even in like metropolitan Melbourne, you could just see the smog. And like, you had to wear a mask, couldn't breathe, couldn't open your windows. And I was like, in all the horror of it was, I was like, if there's one thing that could come out of it is that someone like that guy sees what's happening and it's like, it is real and it is affecting me. Where I think sometimes some people, they need to have that real urgency or something to be like in front of them, black and white, to believe in it. But I don't know, I would probably never see him again too. See what
there is that biblical, and I'm not a religious person by any chance, but it reminds you that biblical story of the doubting Thomas. Like, he's got to see to believe it. But what I find most interesting about it is, and this point was brought up the other day, and I think it's absolutely true to a certain extent, where these conspiracy theories, they make you, as someone who may be more of a rational thinker, go, well, why is this conspiracy theory wrong? And it actually makes you go back and look it up and go, well, okay, there's that evidence. And it makes you sort of think more about what evidence there is actually to support why the evidence is swinging in one way, if you know what I mean. Like, it makes you sort of fall back and it actually makes you reaffirm, well, not reaffirm, but you know what I mean? It makes you sort of pay more attention to the reason as to why, you know, the facts or the evidence is all supporting this side, or why this thing happens to be true. And it can make you sort of in a weird sort of reverse psychological way. So
as my German teacher in high school taught us very early on, which I'm quite grateful for. I didn't like him as a person, but I think he was very strong on teaching children life lessons. And one thing he said was, one of the most dangerous parts of life is half knowledge and spreading it. When I guess everyone's victim to that, even me talking here pretending that I know anything about anything. It's like, how well have I researched it, and how well do I know that it's like based on actual evidence? And yes, that people start spreading their half knowledge everywhere. That they get into the realm of rumors, and from rumors, conspiracy starts. And then at some point, it looks like there was evidence for something at some point, but you can't trace it back anymore.
Anyway, enough of the conspiracy talk. There's a conspiracy about conspiracies going on this podcast, guys. Calm down. No, we should play the song. It's A Portrait of an Artist as a Young Woman by Hachiku off the brand new album. I'll Probably Be Asleep. We'll be back before you even know it, folks, with some more chit chat with Annika right here on Bar Talk. Mama, that was Portrait of an Artist as a Young Woman by Hachiku, who I'm, as you all remember, of course, got here on the line with me right now, chatting all things new album. Annika,
Yep.
hey, are you still there? You haven't left me yet?
Here.
Oh, good. She hasn't abandoned me yet, folks. We're pushing
Nope.
time a bit here. She's going to be rehearsing with her band soon because you've got. I tell you what, I'm very excited for you, and you must be as well. You got your record store show this afternoon.
Yeah, at Rocksteady Records.
Well, we
it's
say
on Instagram, I guess.
At with a big fat asterisk on there. You're doing a virtual one, aren't you?
Yeah, it's on the Instagrams. Instagram Live, I believe, as it is always these days.
It's a bit of a shame that we're talking about it, because by the time this goes to air, because Instagram Live is it going to be on as a story, or is it going to be on the actual Instagram page?
It's actually, I'm logging into the record store's Instagram, and then I'm pretty sure they might put it up as like an IGTV thing afterwards. You can watch it on the internet later.
So if it is, folks, make sure you go and give it a watch if you haven't already, or if you didn't tune in on the day, nursing your mad hangover from the night before. No, go and give it a watch if it's still up too. I was going to say is that one of the things that have you done a record store show before, or is this the first one?
Yeah, I've done a few around the EP, like Poison City Records, a little while ago in Melbourne, which was fun. And then in the UK, I did a few at Rough Trade, in stores, which they're always fun, just small and improvised setup sound-wise.
Yeah. I was going to say, let's talk a bit about the actual recording process, because as you mentioned at the start, you're the main producer and all that for the record. And so you're mentioning that you'd set up, so you'd actually done a bit of the recording in your lounge room. Was that when you said you set it up with your keyboards and that, is that where you did a lot of the recording?
Yeah, I'm saying lounge room because we're a 2-bedroom house, but I wanted to have like my own sort of space, and that's why the lounge room, you can close the door to it. And I put up a lot of absorption panels on the walls recently, and it feels a little more like a home studio.
Yeah. You didn't do the mattress on the wall thing, the old improv padding, is that why you're running through hard rubbishes trying to find some old soggy mattress to put up?
Yeah, actually, I'm trying to do a bit of research into what actually works, and apparently mattresses aren't even that good. The main thing is you need to make things as airtight as possible, so I put lots of insulation tape around the door frames because there's such big gaps. And then I bought a lot of called earth wool, which is usually you do it for heat insulation.
Oh, yes. And that really fibery stuff. It sort of feels sticky. Yeah.
It's probably really bad for you.
Okay. Just don't touch it. You'll fucking feel weird for an hour afterwards.
Yeah, when I was I put lots of those sheets into just a bed sheet to make a fake mattress out of it. And I wasn't wearing a mask to do it. And the next day, just all these fibers started coming out of my nose. And I was like, oh, no. Great, now I'm going to get nose cancer or something.
Oh, no. So you can say no, it wasn't. It definitely wasn't the Charlie. I wasn't going for that other thing that people usually put up their nose. No, it was padding. I swear it. Yeah. I was just too involved in trying to build a cheap recording studio. I couldn't even afford a mask. So I did a lot of recording in that room. But for example, I don't have a drum kit here, so I was relying on a lot of favors of at Milk, we have a drum kit, Courtney's drum kit. So I was like, can I just go in a few afternoons and record drums? And so I did that. And then another label mate, Evelyn Ida Morris, they let me use their recording studio because I'm actually right on a mini main road, which is quite loud. So for vocal recordings, there's a truck that rolls past once in a while. They let me use their studio, which was really nice for an afternoon. And then in Germany as well, I finished all the songs in Germany before sending them off to mixing. And my father has this room next door where music is his very passionate hobby, where I was lucky enough to be able to use that. So did you find that you were having to, because of the way that you recorded it, you did the bit in your lounge room, then you went and did the bit in the studio, and then you went to Germany to finish it off. Did you find that you had to make creative decisions with the instruments or the production style that you used to suit what you had available?
Yeah, I think mine is all limitations is almost what I need to not get super overwhelmed with the possibilities. Like when you have like an infinite amount of tracks, like I love the idea of back in the days where you had 16 tracks or maybe 8 tracks maximum, and you had to make really bold decisions of what's necessary and what isn't. In my case, I'm like, I can create 100 tracks here, and 90% of it, there's no quality control or anything. So things like sometimes that limitation so for example, at the time when I was recording the album, I only had a 2-track interface, which works for vocals, works for guitars, works for bass, but everything has to be recorded in layers. So I think that definitely can be heard on all the songs. And the other thing is for drums, it's kind of impossible to record a good sounding drum kit with just 2 inputs, because usually you want at least 5 microphones on a drum kit. So what I ended up doing for most of the songs, except for one where my friend was very nice to record the drums in a proper studio, but it was like kick drum, hold a microphone to the kick drum, play kick now. Then it's like, what are you playing on the hi-hat? So like then you record the hi-hat and then you record the tom. So it's like a patchwork type thing again of every single part of the drum kit was recorded separately.
So what, you ended up having to splice it together as like almost like a sample?
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty much like a sample drum kit.
That just sounds like drum machines with extra steps, Annika.
Exactly. And I think I love drum machines, and that was at the start I was like, I just want everything as drum machines, but then live drums do bring it a bit of like hearing a real hi-hat and that like hi-hat frequency that's a bit more like in the upper register.
Yeah.
Just you don't get that with that like air and liveliness when you just have like a Casio keyboard thing.
Was there?
But yeah.
Yeah. Was there anyone though through the recording process that sort of was, and I always refer to them as your umpire, somebody to sit back maybe with a fresh set of ears and go, all right, that's enough on this. I think you've done enough takes on the snare drum for today. Like, was there someone that was acting as that throughout that process?
I wish. That sounds really nice. Like, that is something I need for in the future, because you do go down not millions, but hundreds of rabbit holes of, as you say, like 3 different types of snare drums and which one sounds best. Where I've recently realized, working a little bit for other people, where, for example, if you get paid by the hour, right, and you give them an estimate of how long it will take you, and you can't just work double the amount of it, because you'll be like, oh, by the way, it actually took me ages. Where that, I found that really helpful and useful, because I was like, the song in the end, I was happy with it. It was quite like, it had lots of creative ideas. I didn't feel stressed. I didn't overthink anything, because I was like, I've got 16 hours over 2 days and then I'm done. And I want to, with my own music moving forward, try and see it a little bit more that way. Like, don't get sucked up in all the detail, but keep that bigger picture view of, after all, it's just a song. No one listens to it as preciously as you do. And yeah, like there's only 8 songs on the album, mainly because it took me 3 years to finish 8 songs to a level where I was happy with. But because I work on my own mainly, you don't really have someone to bounce ideas back from, like maybe my girlfriend, when I go like, how do you like this? And she'll be like, yeah, it's nice. How about this or that? And then you're like, I didn't want any feedback. I just wanted you to tell me it's finished. And then you start from scratch. So yeah.
Yeah, you do need someone though that is very critical though. You do need someone that's not afraid and you're happy and comfortable with going, like giving you that pushback, don't you?
Yeah, no, I'm grateful for it. Just usually when you're happy with it, you want everyone else to be happy with it. So then when you ask for an opinion and you hear something, you get a feedback, and then suddenly you realize that it was something you just hadn't realized. You're like, how could I not have seen this? And now I have to redo it. But that's all part of it, so it's fine.
I want to backtrack a bit to about the fact that you're now in Melbourne as well. For the last 4 years, as you were mentioning. What's sort of drawn you to Melbourne and sort of settle down here and create music here as opposed to anywhere else you've been?
I think coming to Melbourne, I was first here as an exchange student for university, and it was back then and still is just a very special place for being a musician, and in particular starting out as a musician. For example, I lived in London before that, and it couldn't be more contrary. Like, it's very competitive. If you're starting out, you don't really feel any sense of community. For me, that was my personal experience, but I was a student, so it was like all those things of enter this band competition to play at the pub, and like, if you play here, you need to sell 50 tickets so that we don't charge you for playing.
Oh, those ones, yeah, they're the worst.
Yeah, and I feel like at least my personal experience in Melbourne has been quite the opposite. Like, people are there to support each other. You go to each other's shows. You don't feel like you're competing with people against, like, you're glad to have other musicians in your life rather than they are out there to stop you from reaching a goal or something. And I just found that really welcoming, and yeah, I've got so many friends now in Melbourne that play music, and it's just hanging out with friends a lot.
Yeah.
Rather than I'm trying to be a successful career artist or something like that.
That's fair. No, that's a very good observation too. It's good to get that opinion of people who maybe haven't, have experienced it elsewhere, because then you'll get people that have been here in Melbourne all their life, and they'll start to go, oh, that's shit. There's not enough people to come to gigs. People don't care. But then when you step back and look at it, you go, well, there's a reason why there's so many musicians here, and it is because of that really supportive culture that we have for each other.
Like, and I hope it doesn't disappear. Like, I'm always, like, even playing shows outside of Melbourne where how they charge you venue hire, production fee, door person, and in the end you make $200 and pay $450 to organize the show.
Yeah.
You're like, aren't we meant to be here to, like, enjoy the music rather than pay you to sell beers at the bar or something?
Speaking of touring, I'm guessing maybe even nationally, is there plans to do that once all the states open up in the coming months?
Yeah, we're loosely planning a tour, a mini album release tour. I actually should get going on that. So I've started a month ago, and now I've got a bit lazy, but maybe at least some regional Victorian venues I'm hoping for. And maybe we'll make it to Sydney and Adelaide, Canberra. So just, it feels a bit weird to put an album out and not even be learning the songs live. So I want to at least have a little tour where it feels like it was worth making the album, because I feel like, after all, like, a life experience is the most fun way to experience music.
I was going to say, it's like the token tour. It's like getting the participation sticker at school, isn't it? It's like, I toured.
Yeah, exactly. Tick that off the album cycle.
Yeah. Yeah. Supported by, I'll probably be asleep, as supported by much delayed, belated national tour.
Exactly. And you want to see that you can still make use of your press photos and things that otherwise you just put on Instagram once.
Yeah, the Instagram tour. coming to a story near you.
Exactly.
We'll be talking, actually, let's talk about, because we'll be playing one more of the tracks off the album in a short moment. Let's talk about it. We're going to play Busy Being Boring, which you flagged as one of your favourites off the album. So what I wanted to know was why it has ended up being one of your favourites.
Yeah, I kind of, if I had my say even more than I already do, I would have liked to do a single for every single song on the album, but you couldn't, so that one unfortunately didn't make the cut as a single, but it was close to being one. I think musically, I really like it. Like, lots of more like guitar-based, very quite dreamy, very large outro and build of things. And probably I put a lot of effort into it, so I'm like, I'm glad, I'm happy with it in the end, because sometimes you put a lot of effort in it and you're like, this song can go in the bin. I don't want to hear it ever again. And yeah, I think lyrically it's a good summary of what I think a fair few themes of the album are about, like the whole busy being boring. Like my girlfriend keeps every time, like probably once every 2 days, I'm like, oh, I'm bored. Oh, that's boring. Oh, I'm so boring.
Wait, was this pre or during lockdown? Let's clear this up.
All my life and future life. I don't know. I think even as a child, like I remember my mother in Germany go, mir ist langweilig, mir ist lang, which is like the equivalent to I'm bored. And my mother, it would drive her insane. Because I think at some point I managed to entertain myself a bit more, but a lot of it, I don't know, like what do they say? Only, boring people get bored, and I think that
sounds like the perfect burn to give back to someone. If you ever have a kid, you go, but Mum, I'm bored. Only boring people are boring. Get a job.
yeah. But I think at this stage also, that's what that song, like busy being boring. It's like I think at some point I realized what the album is about. That sort of after when I came to Melbourne, having like big dreams of wanting to do music, and having that typical, it will be half a year, like someone will discover it somewhere, and then I can just start living off doing music and not worry about anything, and just getting a lot more grounded and seeing the reality of it and becoming friends. Like obviously Jen Clower and Courtney Barnett, who run the label, like being friends with them and realizing how they, as being people that actually have very successful music careers, how much work goes into it and how much work behind the scenes that are like what they say with music, you're like 90% admin, 10% musician. Realizing that it's not just a dream of everything's like easy and just falls into your lap, but you have to, like, I always had the idea after 2 years of being in Melbourne, I'd just go somewhere else and do other things, but how you have to be just really persistent and determined, and with any other job or career you want to succeed in, how you have to really just be focused and put in the hours and the work to do so. At times, obviously, that is rather boring, like sitting on my laptop for days on end to whatever you have to do on your laptop. I don't even know. It's like a day passes and I'm like, did I do anything today? And you're like, yeah, I replied to 200 emails. But then realizing that it's worth it to, like, you're not actually sacrificing anything doing that stuff. You're like, it's investing it in yourself and your ambitions, and coming to terms with that it's fine to be very busy in that boring state, and trying to not be so cynical. I think the lyrics are very cynical in ways of always being like restless and dreaming up bigger things for your life, and sometimes you just need to step back and be like, actually, I'm very happy with where I'm at and the people I'm with, and I shouldn't always talk everything down so much.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, thanks so much for joining us today to chat about the album and everything else you've been up to. Want to give us a quick rundown, Annika, on where we can find your music and where your socials are and that sort of thing?
Yeah, well, you can find it on all your usual streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Music. If you like, Bandcamp is a great place to support musicians directly. Or you can buy the album on green vinyl, CD. We got our old EP on cassette as well, if you have a cassette player. And your usual social media platforms as well.
Your hairdo is perfect for a cassette cover, just saying. The glasses and everything just takes you back to about 1986. That's exactly what you want on the cover of a cassette.
Yeah, that's a good observation. Anywhere, the internet, you can find us on the internet.
The brand new spanking doodle World Wide Webs, exactly.
Exactly.
Yes. Yep. Well, thanks again. Best of luck for the store show this afternoon. Hope I haven't eaten up too much of your time. I better go and let you practice so you don't forget all your songs.
It's all good. I like to leave things last minute anyway.
Yes, in classic rock star fashion, the classic, rock star interest. Where's Annika? We're 5 minutes to her on stage. Rocks up, hair flowing back, whips off the cape. I'm here, ladies. Yeah. Let's rock.
That's how I like to do things. If I don't feel pressured or any last minute deadline stress, I'm still sitting here in my pajamas.
Yeah, pajamas, the real rock star costume. That's it.
Yep.
No, thanks so much, Annika.
Thank you for having me.
Hope best of luck for the coming weeks and months with all the stuff with the album. It'll be an absolute blast to see what happens, and hopefully we can see you live too on the stage sooner rather than later too.
Thank you. Yeah. Hopefully not too long.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Want to take us out on this one? Tell us what we're listening to and who you are.
My name is Annika from Hachiku, and you are listening to, I think, Busy Being Boring coming up next.
That's absolutely right. Bang on. Enjoy, folks.
Cool.
If I don't go, I will never AustralianMusiciansRadio.com.